Hello，大家好，欢迎大家来到读书时间。我们今天继续读《Soft Hearts》Rett Swinson Mystery 这本书。好，我们先开始。They looked at their mother. Curtis pleaded. Can we go? Can we go? We'll see, Mecca said. That's a year away. You will forget all about it by then. No, we won't. We won't. Now, I said, think. Who, if any, did you see in that alleyway? The boy looked at one another, scratching their heads. Curtis asked sweetly, if we didn't see anybody, can we still come to the party? Of course, I said. Good, Curtis said, because I didn't see nobody. Me neither, said his brother. I saw him, said the little girl softly. Everyone in the room turned to face her. Who, Shanna? I asked. Who did you see? The girl was taking her time, milking it, with two rowdy older cousins. Noisy and disorderly. When did she ever get this kind of attention? Cluck, she said, soft and silk. Cluck? I repeated. Now here was something I didn't expect. Had I stepped into a knock-knock joke? Who is Cluck? Cluck. The little girl's eyes started to wander to her right until her head turned and she was glancing over her shoulder at a bookshelf where also a number of several family photos were lined. Is a person's picture in this room? I asked. She looked at me and nodded her head. I cast a glance at Augusta. What if the girl was about to implicate a relative? Were we ready for such a development? Augusta shook her head slightly. Her expression, a tense mixture of hope and skepticism. I asked, will you show us who you saw? Shanna, please. The little girl looked at her aunt. The little girl looked at her aunt. It's okay, Mecca said soberly. You can show her. The girl stood slowly and deliberately and approached the bookcase. I expected her to read for one of the family photographs. Instead, I expected her to reach for one of the family photographs. Instead, she pulled down a large book and walked it back to her original seat among her dolls and animals. The book took up her entire lap. Augusta and I leaned forward so we could read its title, Civil Rights in the South, 1945 to 1969. We exchanged confused looks, then watched as Shanna opened the book and began turning the pages slowly as she watched our eyes. Did you know anything about this book? Augusta whispered to Mecca. That's her powwow's book. He looks her powwow's book. He looks at it sometimes. Powwow. Another term for papaya, North American Creole papaya, pawpaw. person. He looks at it sometimes. Did your pawpaw show you this book? Augusta asked Shanna. Yes. She was still turning pages but looking at us, as if we might stop her at any point, like a human Ouija board. Like a human Ouija board. When she finally stopped turning pages, we looked where she landed. We were staring at a full-page photo of a group of Ku Klux Klansmen, all wearing white hoods and robes. One of the men's garb seemed more important than the others. Garb, closing distance. It was this particular hooded figure, the one on the far left, that the little girl It was this particular hooded figure, the one on the far left, that the little girl finally pointed to the photo's outline, identifying him as the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, 1955, in wizened hands, shivered or wrinkled with age. The man held a staff of some sort. There he is, she said, in the softest whisper. Klux the dragon. Augusta was the first to say it aloud. Damn, that looks nothing like a real dragon. If anything, that Klansman looks like a ghost. Mecca said. Her papa calls them all racist. White folks the Ku Klux. And this clock was a clue. I pointed to the photo of the man and asked Shanna, "Is this definitely the sort of person you saw? Someone with a sheet like this?" She nodded. I looked at the picture again. The only visible skin, the only sign that it was a human being at all, were the Grand Dragon's hands. By any chance, did you see his hands? I asked. She nodded. That color were they? Brown. What color were they? Brown, she said. In the old photo, the hands were shadowed, dark. I wondered if Shanna was aware that the men under those sheets were white men who believed themselves superior to black people in every way. Where exactly did you see him? I asked. Behind the garbage can, she whispered. What color was the garbage can? Brown, she said again, which could have been Skip and Stuart's big rusty can. The city receptacles were green and blue. Receptacle, hollow object. a hollow object used to contain something, an electrical socket, an organ or structure which receives a secretion X. I asked Shanna, what did you do when you saw Cluck the dragon? Organ was container holder vessel beam. Ren, what did you do when you saw Cluck the dragon? Ren, she said. That must have been a scary moment. Did Cluck try to hurt you? She shook her head. Did he say anything to you? Again, she shook her head. So you just ran and joined your cousins? Shanna nodded. And that's when we found the front doors with candy. Isaiah cut in. Yeah, said Curtis, so it all worked out. My, I said to Augusta a few minutes later. Once we'd spoken our thanks to Mecca and walked to the car, this means that the police have a lot less reason to suspect Trent. Heck, they wouldn't have even found him if they had interviewed the little girl properly in the first place. You got that right, Augusta said. I called Darryl on the way home to tell him what we'd discovered. The little list had seen someone who reminded her of a figure she'd seen in a book her grandfather had shown her, a grand dragon in the Ku Klux Klan. Someone in a white sheet, not a dragon, but a KKK dragon. Klux sounds like a clock to a little girl, I said. That picture must have sure made an impression. Darryl was silent for a apologizingly long time. What are you thinking? I asked. I don't know what to think, he said. Something doesn't add up. Exactly. You shouldn't have been looking for someone in a dragon costume at all. You should still be looking for someone in a full ghost costume. Good luck with that. Could a Halloween costume get any more generic? We know Trent's been in that house because his prints are there. He ran. There is a matter of the pills and no reliable alibi. All circumstantial, like you said, nothing to tie him to the crime scene. It reminded me of people who held on to the stucco companies that were doomed for bankruptcy. They just couldn't bear to sell at a loss. Release Trent now, Darryl, and take the loss. Darryl said, I'll keep the child's new testimony in mind. I really will. Look, no one is going to go to prison for murder unless we can prove beyond a doubt that they committed it. Wonderful convictions never happen. Wrongful convictions never happen. I didn't say that. They just don't happen in my cases. Please trust me here. I'm not a bad guy who prosecutes innocent teenagers, and neither is our DA, he added, though not as confidently as I would have liked. I know you are not a bad guy, I said. Okay, he said. Give my best to Mom. I will see you both before long. 好，谢谢大家，我们今天先读到这里吧，那我们下次再见了，拜拜。